two cooks in the kitchen. We are going to make molé, the sauce of the gods. The molé we're making today, while it is a rather involved recipe, it is the simpler of the two moles that I enjoy making. This will be just a regular molé. The next one we'll do will be a black molé, which has some voodoo involved. So with this, we're starting with 8. These are anchos. I would use pasillas, except my pasillas got bugs and it was really weird. They were all hollowed out and they were not any good. So we're using subbing in anchos. And 8 New Mexico peppers, and I'm adding 1 dried chipotle and 1 dried serrano. Give it a little tiny bit of kick, it won't be much. A cup of almonds, a cup of raisins. I'm going to use the golden raisins this time. Yeah, I've made it with both and you really can't tell a lot of difference. Some garlic, 3 ounces of chocolate, and this is 100% cacao, no sweetener in it at all. 4 tomatoes, which will be blanched, peeled, and seeded, and then chopped up. 4 tablespoons of sesame seeds. 2 cups of chicken broth. This is actually turkey broth. A couple times a year we cook a turkey and turn the carcass into broth. So anytime a recipe calls for bird broth, we have that on hand. And a ½ teaspoon each of coriander, ground cloves, and cinnamon. And the only thing I forgot to get out here, oh, well, a little bit also of olive oil. And the only thing I forgot to get out is 1 corn tortilla, which we're going to tear up into strips and put that in our blender along with all this other stuff. So I've got to peel, I've got to seed and destem all these chilies. I've got to blanch my tomatoes and get them ready, and we'll come back and assemble our molé. All right, so I've prepped all my ingredients. I seeded my chilies and I sweated them in a dry pan for a little while to kind of try and bring out some more flavor in them. And I have blanched and peeled and seeded my tomatoes and chopped them up. And we're just gonna put everything in this one bowl except the chicken broth and the chocolate and the oil. So all the rest of our ingredients are just gonna get mixed up here. These are the 2 onions, which I forgot to mention earlier, as well as my garlic, which I peeled. The onion I peeled and chopped. And we're also going to add to this our nuts, our raisins, sesame seeds, and our spices, which was coriander, cloves, and cinnamon, and our tortilla ripped into bits. This is looking good now, huh? Get a spoon. Yeah, it's amazing what this turns into. So we mix all this up. Crunchy. And this, you know, you just want to mix it so that you get a little bit of everything as you put it in the blender. And eventually this is all going to get mixed back together after it gets done getting blended. But now what we do is we take some of this, and you don't want to get too carried away with too much, as this is a difficult job for the blender. But we are going to see what happens. push it down. Now, if this gets too tight at any time, you can add a little bit of water to help out the process. She's just spinning in there, so we'll get a little water in here. And give it another. And since this is really quite noisy, I will see if I can edit out some of the noise on the video. And there we go. Gets a little air bubble in there with stuff this thick. And so as you can see, this process is going to take quite a while. But we are really going for a fairly smooth paste here. You don't want a lot of chunks of anything in this sauce. So it's just a matter of perseverance. I'm going to give this just a touch more water. So obviously the amount of moisture that's in your tomatoes and your onions is going to make a big difference with each little scoop of this. So just I like what that looks like, so we'll put it in a bowl. See how easy it comes out? Let's see what we got here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think that's acceptable. If I can get it a little more chopped than that, I would appreciate it, but that'll do. Then we just keep going with this until we're through all of our bowl full of ingredients. And I'll spare you the details, and we'll come back for the next part. So here's what we've made. It's this. It's very, very thick. I used less than a cup of water for all of that big bowl full of stuff. So this is looking really good now. And we are going to take our olive oil into our pan, and then we're going to put this in there, and we're going to saute this in the olive oil for about 15 minutes or so. Just cook it up a little bit before we add our broth and our chocolate. So into the pan we go, and we'll just let this cook a little bit. All right, so we've sauteed this for a good little over 10 minutes. We're going to add our chicken broth. Now here, you could keep this a vegetarian dish if you used vegetable broth. You don't have to necessarily sacrifice too much in the way of flavor to do that. And then we're going to put in our chocolate. This is 3 ounces of 100% cacao. And once that melts in, we're going to let this cook on very low heat for about an hour. And we really want this to stay thick. Molé should be a really good thick sauce. And So we're not going to try and boil it too much. We're just going to let it cook and let all these flavors marry, and we're going to have a fantastic sauce when we're done. All right, so we're back here with two drunks in the cooks in the kitchen. Here is our mole. Look at this. It's beautiful. Look at that sauce. It's beautiful. It's thick. It's got a little bit of a bite going on in the texture and everything. So we've made this much of this mole. So we're going to freeze it. It'll work out for enchiladas, chili rellenos. You make your taco meat with this sauce. That's delicious. You cook a chicken in this stuff. Mole is an awesome thing. You can just use it for so many things. Today, we are making pizza with mole sauce. And we have some fresh Poblasno chilies, roasted, peeled, and cut. And we have some fresh cherry tomatoes. We're going to use some Vidalia onions. Vidalia. Yeah. Vidalia onions. And these are some... Help me out.
Shishitos.
Those are some shishito chilies from Dean at the farmer's market. Put some olives on here, some mushrooms. And we have some fresh tomato salsa to put on it after it's cooked.
We're just winging this.
And
because it sounds good.
If you have this mole, you can freeze it. It freezes great, and you can use it for so many things. Just be inventive. It's a delicious sauce. This one came out sweeter than it usually does, and that's interesting because the only thing sweet in there was the raisins. So it's just going to be delicious, though. And thanks for watching Two Cooks in the Kitchen, and we'll see you next time.